We're learning how to deal with our issues and deal with our emotions and dealing with our resentments and shortcomings and things that are bothering us. The only difference is, you know, we're going home and drinking about it. And we're just trying to figure out life so that we don't drink.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You are now about to witness
The journey that is the Life Choices podcast.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm fan-fucking-tastic. I can't complain about a damn thing. I'm human. I could probably find something to complain about. But I'm very happy right now. Things are going well. Loving what I'm doing,
I
work-wise.
love the new space, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I love when I have guests that come back and they can actually share in the experience of the progression of what is happening at Life Choices, which is amazing. Last time we talked, we kind of opened up about addiction and rehabilitation.
Yeah,
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I'm definitely just as busy and stressed as the last time we talked, but I mean, it's one of those things where I've worked so hard to get to a point where I'm busy and stressed. I can't sit here and complain about being busy and stressed because, it's what I've been working for. I'd rather be busy and stressed than be worried about other things. So, blessed to be stressed.
Dude, I love that. Blessed to be stressed. I always want to stress less about tomorrow. However, I don't want to sit around and do nothing. So I get that. Like, I've actually asked God in my gratitude and prayers to be at that level where I am just busy with text messages and conference calls and emails and meetings. Like, I want that level of continuous busyness.
Yeah,
Do you think that's literally what kind of keeps your head above water?
definitely. It also adds a lot of like personal questioning because I sometimes feel like I'm so busy. Am I busy with what I want to be busy with? And when you're working in space and you have the same, we're different genres of art essentially, because cooking is very much an art. You get to a point where you're so busy and sometimes you wonder, it's like, am I busy with what I want to be busy in? Like, is this the work that I want to be stressed in? And it sort of gets at least me in this sort of like somewhat existential crisis mode where it's just like, am I really doing the art that's making me an artist? But at the same time, it's a balance between, I have to be grateful, regardless of whether or not like I always feel like this artist that I'm get an opportunity to make a living doing what I love. And, you know, there's that sort of give and take between doing that and being able to pay bills and have a home and not have to worry about everything else I'd be worrying about if I was just going off and doing only what I wanted to do.
I would suggest looking at it not as a negative, but as a positive because your art of living is there consistently. So you're doing what you love to do because you're living, right? I love living,
Yeah.
right? So right there, check that off as like that artistry is what I do every day. And I love doing that. When it comes to the busy work, am I busy or am I doing busy work? And what I mean is like just moving shit around because it keeps you occupied, but it's not actually doing anything for
Yeah.
you. I was going down that road in yachting. And eventually I lost the love for my artistry, which was the cooking. And I was trying to figure out, well, what can I do in life that would bring this back? And that's how I kind of fell into YouTubing and then transferably into the podcasting, which I love this artistry. Nothing has made me happier than doing the podcast in my life. And I love it. And that's the artistry that I want to keep doing. The newest job I have cooking for a certain family with regards to their yacht has given me back my love for that artistry. So I thank God every day that I have two artists, two arts that I love that fulfill me. And now I'm back in that mode of I'm doing the art that I love because I
Yeah.
love cooking food and changing people's emotions through it. And I love having conversations with people, which hopefully can help others in the future.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but did it feel like when you found this, like, you were saying you were so burnt out with like cooking, it didn't feel like you were cooking in a way that felt like art. But did finding this and being able to take almost like a step back from cooking, like, detach your I I don't know how to say it, like, detach your, identity from that and say, like, "I love doing this. This is a part of me now too." Allow you to sort of dive back into cooking sort of with more passion because it's like, "I'm doing this now because it's what I love," rather than, "This is my identity."
1,000,000% yes. And I'll explain it in this fashion. Very much was cooking for the paycheck. I wasn't really cooking for the love anymore. Finding this genre of life created a happier person within me. And that happier person within me saw how much work was involved in getting this to where it is now, and realizing that that's where you have to start again with cooking. Is you have to realize that it's all the little blocks that you put at the foundation, and you have to build on those again. And lucky enough, after like 3 years of finding the right family to work with, I was able to realize, like, put in as much effort into not just your cooking, but every aspect of that job, which is, as a private yacht chef,
Yeah.
and watch how much you can grow as an individual, and watch how much respect or love you can receive back from the people you're doing it for. Now, this is all like a real quick thought process in my brain, and coming over the 3 years I've been doing YouTube, of analyzing my daily life and figuring out what it is that I need to do to keep myself positive. So doing this, the podcast or YouTube in general, reinvig- reinvigorated my love for life, for doing hard work, which then transferred over into the life of a private chef,
Yeah.
refalling in love with cooking, but more importantly, giving the people who are paying for my talents the proper work, like the heart, the drive, the discipline, the cleaning, the organizing, everything that entails, the end result.
Yeah.
So with your life right now, you going to meetings?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Is it daily?
No. So, I go once or twice a week to, AA meetings. I'm assuming you're
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
We're jumping back in
Oh, we're
the
going back and forth all over the place.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. The director and me just wanted to make sure
oh,
that we were clarifying. Um, yeah, so it's a big part of my life. I actually ride with an organization called ARM, which is Association for Recovering Motorcyclists. And a big part of what we do is we have a weekly Sunday night meeting here in West Palm for our chapter. And it's just like an open AA meeting. So not only do I go to AA meetings, I have a group of brothers that, you know, I ride with, share a common interest with, but also share like a lot of commonalities in like how we think, because I think that's important to not only like surround yourself with people who share the same interests, but like can understand where your mind is at, especially when you're not in the best of places or if you're struggling with something. Having someone who's knows how to talk to you and sort of knows how to reason with you is really important.
I would imagine it helps because you have all of you have an understanding, because you've been through similar situations. So you know the war you've been fighting within yourself. So it's easier to probably open up to those people than maybe a family member.
Oh yeah, 100%. And also too, it's like there is a love, but also like a hardness to the advice that you get because they know, like, at least with the brothers that I hang around with, like, they know me. So it's just like, hey, yo, you're fucking up. You got to do this. A lot of people in my life would sort of be hesitant to tell me that because they know I'm very hard headed. These guys don't care that I'm hard headed. There's like, I see you who's struggling with something. This is the advice that you need. Do with it what you're going to do, but I'm going to tell you when you're messing up because I want to see you grow. I'm going to hold you accountable for that.
And I believe that's so important in our lives, especially, I don't want to like necessarily say more than women, but men need other men that they feel comfortable with and trust enough to allow them to rip us apart in an aspect of saying, "Yo, dude, you're fucking up, man." And it's hard to find people like that that are willing to be a true friend and tell you exactly how it is. On the flip side of that, it's hard for I'm speaking for myself. It used to be hard for me as an individual to take that stuff because I would look at it or I would interpret it of that he's not a real friend. But the reality of it is the person who is willing to tell you straight up, you're being a dick, you're fucking up, don't do that again. That person who's there for you in your dark times when you're not succeeding, that's the friend you want.
Oh, yeah, because I think at a point, it becomes that is someone who cares more and loves you more as a person than they do necessarily the friendship, and I don't mean that they don't care about the friendship, but they look at you and say, like, I'm seeing you do something that's going to fuck your life up. I would rather you like hate me and make sure that your life is on the right path than to sit here and just watch you destroy yourself just to say that I still have you as a friend. I think like that's real love and friendship is being like caring about a person so much that you're just like, I don't care if you hate me. This is I know you need help and this is what you need to hear.
The person who is willing to lose you because they want to tell you the truth. Those are the people you want to have in your life. That's the environment you want to be in.
Definitely. And it's the type of person that I try to be because I feel as though sometimes I hold my tongue a lot when I should be saying stuff because I'm just like, I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but stuff that needs to be said. And it's just like learning to be open and honest. And that definitely you toe the line sometimes. Like you never want to be an asshole or a dick. You want to be truthful, open, and honest.
Sometimes you have to be that dick, is what we're saying, in order for the person to understand where they stand or where they're going might not be the best spot.
Oh yeah.
The idea of being open and honest. A lot of people say they want honesty, whether it's a significant other relationship or it's a friendship. Everyone's like, "Oh, I wish people could be honest with me," but people can't usually handle honesty. And it's interesting because for men, I want to say, because we have so many walls that we were supposed to put up as we were growing up to be manly. It's interesting when you're in a group of friends to be analyzing the situation while you're in it to see how things are developing or being spoken about. And a big thing is nobody it's rare that somebody wants to be the first person to say that's awesome or oh I really like that or that song's cool or oh I like that TV show. It's a weird aspect because that's you being as honest as you can about something. And the practice of doing it is scary because if you haven't done that before, the first time you do it, like if you're in a group of friends, right? Maybe you're smoking a bit of weed and you're just chilling and you're like, "Oh yeah, man, that comic was fucking hilarious," right? And then no one really responds or like, "Nah, I didn't think so." You almost instantly think, "Oh fuck, maybe I shouldn't say that."
Yeah.
But if it's in here and it's how you feel, then fucking say it. And you'll be surprised at how that conversation develops into something else.
Yeah, and it's definitely taken me a while to get to that place where, that's not I feel as though that has just as much to do with being comfortable around the people you are with, and just as much to do with being comfortable with yourself. Because I used to do the same thing where it's just like, maybe I won't say that I like this band because I don't want people to think I'm a fucking loser. But
And
I'm
that thought happens so real quickly in your brain, you can literally hear yourself saying it to yourself in your brain, and then you don't actually
yeah,
express that you liked it.
but it's like I'm at the point in my life now, like, I'll tell you, I fucking love Nickelback.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't care.
I think
Like,
I've seen them 3 times
oh,
when
yeah.
I was, like, early 20s.
But it's like, I'm at the point in my life where, you know, I I'm confident in who I have become to where, like, I know I like what I like. I'm gonna be who I'm gonna be, and, it's a take it or leave it sorta thing where it's just like, I've got too much to do to hide who I am and what I'm passionate about to be like, "Oh, maybe they'll think I'm a loser." It's like, if they think I'm a loser, then I'm a loser. I'm like, I can't help that. But it's just like, I am a loser if I think that I should stop doing something or saying something or liking a certain music, band, or food because someone else is gonna judge me for it.
Isn't it crazy that I believe all of us have gone through that at some point in our life, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
know very much in my high school years, in my 20s, the amount of time I would, like, change what I was wearing because I was like, "Oh, fuck, are they gonna make fun of me at school for wearing this and that?" And I put myself aside for so long, just for more than half of my life, worrying about, am I gonna be looked at as a loser, or am I gonna be accepted for what I'm wearing? And now it's such a wonderful release of all pressure to live my life once I chose to just live my life. And it's great. Like, there's 7 billion people in the world, something like that. I mean, you'll find your people.
Oh,
If the
yeah.
people you're with respond to you in that fashion because you like a band or you wear a certain shirt or pant, whatever, I find that the more you become the truest form of you by really allowing those thoughts and the way you are, the way you act out, those who may look at you in a way in which you don't want eventually float away, and those who accept you for who you are show up.
Oh, definitely.
It's the most bizarre thing. And I wish I had platforms to watch when I was younger to see that, to console me while I was going through those times of worrying what other people may think.
It's a thing we've all felt just because there's no other way to feel. Like, you don't know who you are yet. You haven't built that sense of confidence, and it's just, you're trying to figure yourself out. You're trying to figure out who you actually are amidst trying to fit in, you know?
You have not built trust within yourself.
Oh, yeah.
That is something I've realized recently is I didn't trust myself to be myself when I was younger. The misfits, as they or we were called when we were in those years, I think back now of all I went to 3 different high schools, various reasons. And I think back of, like, heading out to the I was a big cigarette smoker back then. I think about walking out to the front, sidewalk to do so, and all the different people that I knew of or I talked to and the way they dressed and the way they acted, and I wish I had this knowledge back then because those who were the most visibly different, as in the way they did their hair, their outfits, or whatever, they were literally saying, "Fuck you. I'm doing this because it makes me feel good." And I wish I would have found them earlier. They probably, as much as they may have been picked on or made fun of or not welcomed into parties or whatever, they probably lived a bit happier during those times than I fucking did,
Yeah.
you know? It's interesting. Nowadays, fitting in, I couldn't care less about. I just don't. Like, I'm more interested in only surrounding myself with individuals like yourself who are willing to talk about the true facts about being happy within and living their life the way they feel like it because you get so much more gratitude from it, I think.
I definitely think it is gratitude. But yeah, that's why, to bring it full to bring it back to where we sort of start, like with AA, that's why I love going to those meetings, because you can sit down with a group of people who, if you passed on the street and, you know, only had a passing conversation with, you'd be like, I don't fit in with these people. Like like that person is nothing like me. You can sit in a room for an hour with those people and realize you are exactly like them. And it's just like, no matter how different everybody is, we're all dealing with the same emotions. We're all struggling with the same issues, but just in different settings, in different colors, in different shapes. It's all the same things that we are battling, but just a little different. I don't even mean with in terms of addiction or alcoholism. Um, I've brought friends to meetings who aren't alcoholics or addicts, and they've walked out of a meeting after an hour and just been like, everything you've talked about, minus like doing all this work to stay away from drinking, all this stuff that you're talking about is stuff that I'm dealing with. Like, it all sort of makes sense because like when you're talking about AA and addiction, it's not like we're learning how to deal with our issues and deal with our emotions and dealing with our resentments and shortcomings and things that are bothering us. The only difference is, you know, we're going home and drinking about it. And we're just trying to figure out life so that we don't drink. But it's all the same issues everybody else is having. We just end up having a more self-destructive way of dealing with all of it.
All 7 billion of us are part of what's called the human race. It is highly improbable that an individual has not felt the same emotions that you feel,
Oh yeah.
because they're emotions that all of us feel at some point in our life. We make decisions and choices on how to react to those decisions. And like you're saying, if I went to a meeting, I would probably love it. In fact, I'm actually going to put it on my calendar to make an appointment, like to actually go and do it
Hit
for
me up anytime. I'll
for
go
many
with you, man.
reasons. I've dealt with stuff for 46 years of my life. And the more I talk about it, the more I have people sit in that chair who have, oddly enough, been through a lot of different addictions. A lot of people that come in and share with us here on the podcast have been alcohol, drugs, jail, all the fun stuff. And when I talk about things that I've implemented in my life to get me to where I am now, which is a much happier individual who loves life, who loves his friends, who can express it to them, people start telling me what steps in the program that I'm doing or where I've gotten. Or when I sit here with my good friend Jennifer Alley, shout out Jen. She's an inner alignment coach. She talks about consciousness. And when I express to her the things I'm doing in my life, she actually tells me, okay, well, you're on this tier. Or, okay, well, since last time, now you're on this tier. And it's so very interesting to me because what you're saying is absolutely true. We all go through the same shit. Life is the most challenging game you will ever play, and it's the most fun game you'll ever
Oh
play.
yeah.
We all deal with it differently. And some of us are more self destructive than others. And we have our vices that we go to. It can be drugs, it can be alcohol, it can be sex, it could be stealing, it could be self sabotaging. There's so many different things. And if anyone looks at themselves internally, they'll figure out what it is that they're doing positively or negatively to get them through the same emotions.
Oh yeah. And I feel as though there are very few people in this world who aren't doing something for them spiritually, and I don't mean like in terms of like religion or anything, just like meditating or like the understanding that there is some sort of higher power, whether you just call it the universe or whatever you want to call it, um that don't have something that they're addicted to, because especially now there is just so much stress and just so much, I don't wanna say wrong with the world, because the world is just always gonna be the world. There's always gonna be something going on, but there's just so much happening and so much just mayhem and around everybody's life, whether you wanna realize it or not, that unless you're connected with something that's bigger than yourself, like, there is something, whether you're addicted to your phone. I know I'm addicted to my phone,
We
I'm
all are.
addicted to caffeine, but it's like, you talk to other people, it's just like, you can be addicted to the gym. I know people who are extremely fucking angry if they go more than a day without going to the gym. I'm just like, what you're doing is healthy to you for your body, like, you're jacked, you look great, but at some point, it's unhealthy for your mind because you're unable to, it's not a healthy outlet anymore when you can't step away from it for a day or two without being extremely angry and irritable.
And that's because you haven't looked within yourself yet to
Yeah.
see where that problem lies. And we all have the outlets that we go to release whatever it is in our body from that day. I agree with you. You can become addicted to just about anything. And when it comes to a point where if you don't do that thing for a period of time and you lose your shit, you got to figure out what's the underlying factor there. What is actually bothering you? What's driving you to make yourself feel that way?
And that's literally just going through the steps in AA.
Right, right? So it's like these steps were created a long time ago, and what some people aren't willing to admit is that it is a disease, regardless what your addiction is. Addiction is a disease, and it could be sugar, something that's like the most addictive substance on the planet. It it takes a strong person it takes a strong person to figure out where they're at. And once they see where they're at, it takes a stronger person to figure out, okay, how do I solve this? I've I've figured out, okay, I'm not happy with this aspect. How can I solve that? And it's tough. It's tough for a lot of people.
The even tougher part is asking for help. Because a lot of that, like, you can identify issues, and I've done it so many times with other things in my life that aren't drugs or alcohol, like caffeine. Like, I have a very unhealthy addiction and relationship with caffeine now, and always have, honestly. But, you can recognize it all you want, but at some point, there's always going to be a need to reach out to someone and say, like, whether you need someone to talk to or someone to hold you accountable, there is a need for that no matter what you're going through. And that's even harder than recognizing what, what ails you essentially. It's with a little bit of introspection, you can tell, like, this is an issue in my life. If you sit down and meditate for 30 minutes, you can say, like, oh, hey, this 30 minutes is really hard not to pick up my phone. Or 30 minutes, this is all I thought about within this 30 minutes. Asking for help to try and overcome that and bring someone in and being vulnerable with someone saying, I have this problem. Do you have, like, what do you think a solution would be? That's fucking excruciating.
It's
That
it's it's it's
hurts.
difficult to pull that Band-Aid off.
Oh, yeah.
And those of us who have pulled the Band-Aid off can say this with assurance is like once that Band-Aid comes off, it gets easier.
Oh, 100%.
It's taking that step which is difficult, and people that sit here and share their stories like you are in hoping that it helps someone else down the line to be willing to make that first attempt of peeling that off. The idea of we all have the same emotions, we all go through the same things, and bringing it back to the point of like we're all human beings, right? I find it difficult when people start separating all of us from the aspect of he has an alcohol problem, he has a drug problem, she's like this, he's like that. It's like we're all supposed to be united.
Yeah.
That's the point of it. We can only become better by becoming together. And the world or society, for example, you were saying how like, we're influenced by whatever we read or see or hear. That's all being done purposely so that we can be in fear and worry about being together. It's to the point where they want you to stay away from everybody else.
Yeah. And I think part of it too is like, I'm big on conspiracy theories. I love them, whether or not I actually believe them to be true or not. I love reading about new ones. And a lot of people go to the media and say, like, they're mongering for all these political agendas, but I don't really believe that. I think that's just what sells. And at the end of the day, these big corporations and like news agencies, they're companies and they need money. They want money. That's how they survive. That's the value it has to them. So, like, regardless of political agendas and who's paying them, like, at the end of the day, like, what sells in terms of news, in terms of views, it's fear and it's like sensationalist headlines and stuff like that. So, like, it doesn't make sense for them to bring together unity because, like, you see how often do you scroll through Facebook or, like you log into your email and they have that front news page and it's something inspiring like, oh man, donates $100 million worth of food to food charities. Like, okay, that's cool. But like you see someone get shot on the news and you're clicking that article, just like, what the hell is this about? And then, it's something to do with race or gender, ethnicity, and everybody's arguing within the comments that generates more leads. It's just like for them,
They
it
figured out the best business aspect in order to create their
it
company to be
pays.
successful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's it's essentially you're selling out humanity. Like, you don't care about people, you don't care about the actual news, you care about what gets you clicks, what gets you comments, and what brings you revenue.
YouTube right now, right? I mean, sex, drugs, rock and roll. Those things will always be very popular. There will always be people that are drawn to that more than the other things. The other things are still there. They can still be popular. They can still make money. Those companies are still becoming big things. But sex, drugs, and rock and roll, that's just always going to be at the top of the list. It's going
Oh,
to get
yeah.
the most clicks. It's going to get the most watch, the most view, the most share. And I mean, I see it myself on my own stuff, like on my TikToks. Any conversations about the guests who have been addicted, jail. Yeah, like anything that is of a popular, I want that in my life. Like when I talk about yachting or billionaires, like I notice, like I do the research. I look at my page and I see what has 1,000 views and 2 views, and it's across the board. Those things are just more appetizing to people.
Yeah.
But I still wish more people would have conversations like this because even though that's business and that will work and that will sell, I think sharing the experiences that we go through and bringing back um, the human connection is what there's more people out there now that want it because there's more people out there that are tired of living a life of depression, of angst, of stress. And they're trying to figure out why it is that they live like that or why it is that their brain works that way. And we're basically just trying to say your brain works the same way our brain works. We all have the same computer system. It's
Yeah.
just some have an updated version and some are still working on the floppy disk.
And some have a few bugs, but,
Yeah,
it ends up being the same where it's just like there's only like, you sort of live in that rut that you create for yourself, and I've dealt with, like, major depression and anxiety and all that stuff, and, when I'm dealing with that, um, your brain's not supposed like, having a full range of emotions, healthy, but when you're stuck in that rut of anxiety and depression, you sort of end up digging yourself deeper and deeper. It's like, even if you wanna be happy, like, you're so comfortable being miserable that making that change and then having that split, that dichotomy of feeling both very happy and very sad feel almost very uncomfortable. But it's just like, yeah, like you can't, it's really easy to live in anger and hate and depression and sadness,
so simple.
but it's a lot harder to live with that full range of emotions. And I think that's a lot of what people have gotten used to. It's just like, I'm going to do what's comfortable. And being angry and being upset at something is very comfortable versus being happy for someone and then feeling sad at the same time, like feeling that full range.
I can admit for a large part of my life, I thrived on those negatives. I was very comfortable in the world of the world's out to get me. It's not fair. I didn't get the promotion. I didn't get the girl. And having all of that stress or anxiety just felt so normal that every day, you wake up, you're in one mood, and then, okay, here I go. I'm going to go to work and I'm probably going to get pissed off because this motherfucker's going to do this. Or you manifest your day in the way in which it's going to be the same and it's going to be disappointing. And you're just like, yeah, you're just fine with being there. It's absolutely so much easier to just, fuck it, or
Yeah.
whatever. When you want the change and you're willing to put in the practice, and I talk about practice all the time because I believe life is a practice every day. You got to work harder and harder to maintain what it is to be happy. Being okay with being angry and being sad, depressed, all emotions we all have. And just because you're happy all the time, just because I speak about being happy all the time and I'm being in a happier place now, doesn't mean that I don't have those feelings still. They come daily still. But I've personally gotten to the point where I allow myself to feel that emotion for a period of time that I know is healthy. And that's a very short period of time. So when past thoughts, which I'm working on forgiving people or myself in a situation, I am in the shower. Some thought triggers another thought, and all of a sudden I'm thinking of a time that I was confused why that happened, or I was angry, or I get depressed, or it just starts falling. I'm like, okay, well, this is happening right now. You're having that thought. It's okay. Um, why are you having this thought? Okay. Does it have any bearing on what your day is going to be like today? No. Okay. And that whole process happens. Like I talk about this a lot. It happens so fucking quickly and rapidly. Like those thoughts are nanoseconds, but I allow myself to absorb the feeling that I have to the emotion that's coming in. I analyze it quickly and I let go of it. It's gonna come back
Oh,
because I
yeah.
haven't truly dissected it to the point where I have let go of it for life. Certain things I have, other things I've been told might be there forever. But it's allowing it to come in for that brief moment, realizing I'm not gonna allow it to affect the rest of my day, and think about the things that make me happy and keep going down that road.
I think your ability to do that when it's so fresh in your mind and, like you said, let it go, I think you are actually letting it go, but there's a stark difference between letting it go and learning from it. There's a lot of stuff that um that's the fourth step in AA is writing down a list of resentments. It's people that we think have wronged us or, shit that we've done wrong that we're holding on to. And you're doing exactly what you said, where we're taking what the issue is, what caused it, the effect it has on me, and then my part in this. And there's always a part of it that's like, okay, that's on me. I did something fucked up within this realm of me getting hurt by someone else or something else, but I still had a part I played with it. And then that allows you to let it go. It doesn't mean I can't hold on to that thought and learn from it because it would be dumb to go through all this experience and not take something away from it and learn from it. But emotionally, whether or not like it pops back into my head and like I have a second thought when something reminds me of it, like that's just natural because I've learned something from it, but I'm not letting it dictate how I live the rest of my day or the rest of my life. And that's like from what you described, you're able to let it go because you went through everything to like break it down, even if it's not dissecting it at like a particle level. You've taken the time to sort of process it within yourself. You're able to let it go, but you're learning from it, you know? And like when it pops back up again, yeah, maybe you have to dissect it a little more, but like it's not taking the reins on your entire day, week, or month, you know? The beautiful thing is because I've had a million of those thoughts, but when they would destroy me, like mentally, I was never able to do what you were doing, where it's like it pops up in my head for a moment. Like, I could go half the day and it pop up in my head and then I'd hold on to it. I'm just like, this makes me miserable. Let's ride with this emotion. And I'd think about it and I'd stew on it for the rest of the day. And then a day would turn to a week. And it's just like,
It's dangerous
oh, yeah.
because as you're holding on to that item, anything that comes into your path during that day that doesn't even deserve any anger or hostility put towards it will get it. Like, and it's so hard because we're all in different relationships, friends, family, spouses, significant others, whatever the case may be. And it's a big reason why I try to let go of things when they come in. I try to let them come in and let them go out so that anybody that interacts with me in any given day, because I'm only worried about this day, is not going to receive something from me that has nothing to do with them. And that is a big reason why I am now the person who I am, is because I've gone through some shit that I don't ever want other people to have to deal with. So coming from me, I only want them to experience good things.
Yeah.
Not saying I'm not going to lose my mind sometimes on like my closest
It's
friends.
just being human.
Yeah, but I would like to do my best that if someone interacts with me, they walk away with some positivity from it rather than, well, that guy's a dick.
Yeah. Or at least receive the energy that they're putting back into the
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If
interaction.
someone's, trust me, there's a situation more recently where this person probably thinks I'm the world's biggest asshole. But again, you got to take accountability. Like, why were you getting that energy? What were you giving? And I'm a human. I can only do so much and willing to help you so much until you show me that you're just wasting my energy.
Yeah, like, I have tolerance,
Yeah.
but there is a meter for my tolerance, and sometimes, like, it dips down quicker than others depending on how how and when people push me, but it's just like, yeah, like, I will be I will at least try to be the nicest, kindest person I can be in a moment, but at the same time, you have to almost guard yourself to not let anybody take energy from you that they're not going to give back to you, you know?
Agreed. Where I am now with the people that are closest to me. When you meet new people, and it's tough, you want to get to the point like where I am now with my friends is I love each one of my friends for who they are, what they bring to the table. And I don't dislike them for anything that I may not agree with within their personality. You know what I'm saying? Like I know who they are. I know exactly the type of conversation I'll have with each one of them individually when I have those moments. And when you have someone new in your life, like a coworker, a friend, maybe a significant other, you need to try to get yourself to that point of really understanding who they are as quick as possible. It helps if they open up and talk to you, because obviously my friends, we've worked, whether we know it or not, on our friendships for over a decade. So we really know each other. We know the type of person we are. And when I say stuff like that, it's like certain people I know, in my interpretation, may speak with negative verbiage regularly. They're I don't want to say they're a negative person. They just speak with negative words. And I understand that. And so therefore I know the energy exchange that will happen when I'm associating with them. And so I choose how often and how long I spend time with them. And when you can get to that point, it makes life easier because you know the amount of energy you're going to give someone and you know the amount of energy you're going to receive, or the type, I should say the type, not the amount, the type of energy you're going to receive and the type of energy you're going to give back. And I try very hard now, and I'm still learning and still practicing with new people that come in my life. I very much open up to people as quick as possible because I want them to understand what they're going to receive in hopes that I'm going to receive something of the same level. And those who do get it and welcome it, they reciprocate.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was just working with some people for a short period of time, and a handful of them I know very, very well right now. Like because we had those conversations. We opened up to each other, we expressed each other's lives, families, friends, all that sort of stuff. And it's amazing what type of energy you can receive from someone if you're willing to give first.
And I think that's the biggest part, especially when people are talking about, like, "Oh, I can't find any, like, good connections or good friends or, like, relationships like that." Just what have you done? Like, "Oh, I don't have people who feel, like, true and open and real with me." It's like, how do you want these people to be willing to do something for you that you're unwilling to do for them? And it's a hard thing to do, but I'm not telling you to drive across the country and spend a week of your life to help them, like, pack up their relative's house and drive it back. Like, it's literally just a 5-minute conversation, like that one little vulnerable moment where you tell someone honestly how you're feeling. So,
It's a fucking game changer.
oh yeah, but it's like what you said when we were talking about, like, once you rip that Band-Aid off, you can start actually, like, the pain's gone. That pain of ripping the Band-Aid off, it's done once you do it. So it's just like, it's this 10 seconds worth of pain, and then it's over. And then you have the opportunity to actually do something positive that you've wanted for so long. But it's just like if you're not willing to sit there and just say one vulnerable thing about yourself to make the other person comfortable with you, you can't expect the other person to do the same.
And we're not saying grab a circle of people, hold hands, and sing Kumbaya.
Oh
We're not
no.
saying that. We're literally just saying take the first step. It is the hardest one to do, whether you're trying to ask for help or you're trying to build a friendship or better part, a relationship, because that's what life is really about, is the relationships you build. And if you're not willing to take that first step by giving something of yourself to somebody, how can you expect them to do it for you?
Yeah.
Just won't happen. Kyle, it's been very calm, very fun, very enjoyable as always.
Oh, definitely.
The time I get to spend with you and other people of the same mindset is literally filling my cup up with joy. So you, like many other people on the podcast, you have an open invitation. If you ever feel like you just need to talk to somebody and maybe you don't have time to go to an AA, I have the studio now. I have lock and key 24 hours a day. Hit me up whenever you want. I love talking with you, man. It's just
Yeah,
very
same
easy
here,
and very
man.
comfortable. So thank you very much for coming by today and sharing with us some more stories about your life right now and your experiences, which inevitably will help people in the Life Choices land.
Thank you for having me, man. And I'm sorry, I know I rambled a lot
No,
today.
dude, are you kidding me? It was fucking brilliant. I like honestly, like the conversations, I couldn't be happier with them. So thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
To all my lifers out there, I want to thank you very much for coming back each and every week here on the Life Choices podcast. I'm loving seeing the community build each and every day, each and every week. So thank you so much. And we'll see you next week here, Tuesday at 2 p.m. on the Life Choices podcast. Much love, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen.
You are now about
The Journey, Life Choices podcast.